Hello everyone, and welcome to our AMA number 5 already. Joining me today, as always, is our CEO, Adrian. Hey Adrian, say hello to the Fox.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for joining in. I hope, we're having a good hour of a lot of cool questions and hopefully cool answers and a lot of fun ahead of us. So welcome and thanks for joining in.
Right. Those who have not seen me before during the AMA, name is Olga, and you might have seen me popping around Discord and Telegram, pushing some pretty cool announcements and helping the folks out. This time, we decided to do things a little bit differently and start with the questions first. By the way, you sent a lot of mind-blowingly good ones this time. Isn't that right, Adrian?
The ones that I've seen were pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. And we will cover those first. Of course, we will also, right after that, follow with the questions from the chat. So if you're watching this translation live, don't hesitate, drop us a question. We'll be happy to answer that. And right after the questions, we'll share some technical updates, some maybe plans and teasers with you, and talk about crypto in general if the questions that we received allow for such a scope. Should we get to it?
Of course, let's go.
Let's go. And there were particularly many questions about Wombat this time. I'm astonished and proud. But yeah, this one was, that's really deep. That's a very interesting one. And it's about how projects develop the communities and involve the communities. So we have a Wombat user asking, it's a known fact that without network participants, there is no network. I guess we can all agree to that.
True.
So how do you intend to get participants, and how do you grant the community an equal opportunity to contribute to the success of your project, no matter what its status? Adrian, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. This is a deep one, right? And there's a lot to talk about. So in general, we obviously appreciate any kind of collaboration and contributions from, as it's called, network, right? But I prefer calling us a community, and so we try to foster any type of collaboration among the community, and also try to involve you folks as much as we can in whatever we do, right? So our big goal actually is to get as many people into crypto and gaming assets that run on the blockchain as we can, right? And explore with all of you this world that's actually unfolding in front of us. So it will only work if everybody who's in this space actually contributes to it, right? And now, so that's kind of the generic answer to this, right? And now to get slightly more deeply, we obviously there's this network effect, the Metcalf's law, right? So the value of a network increases with the number of its participant in a square relationship, right? So if you have double the amount of participants, you will have 4 times as much value in the network. So the more people are involved, the better. And we actually have that with all kinds of relationships already, right? So whenever people are coming in and are using whatever is being offered in Wombat, right? Any of the apps, then this helps make these apps more sustainable. So these apps will start offering more value, right? And then also when they get users from Wombat or through this platform, right? Because we have a ton of people using Wombat and also OnePlay. And if a lot of you guys actually try out the apps that are in there, then more of these apps will want to work with us. And also more of these, there will be more of these apps, right? Because people interested in developing new apps like games and whatever, they will see that it's actually worth it, right? And that's a common problem, specifically among blockchain projects and blockchains, that they have to start somewhere. And when you start out, there is nothing on your blockchain, right? And this is also why there's a lot of incentives by all kinds of blockchain projects to build upon their technology. Let's say there's Algorand or Avalanche or whatever you call them. They have grant programs where they give out money to people who want to build on their blockchains. We're obviously a bit different because we're not a blockchain. We don't run our own blockchain, maybe yet. So we don't need people actually building on top, but like on top of Wombat or OnePlay. But we still like to cooperate with as many partners as we can and get in as much cool content for anyone using Wombat and OnePlay as we can, right? And it helps if the people who are already there actually use the stuff that's available, right? And we see kind of what else we can do. So obviously there's a lot you can do already. You can also feel free to shoot us suggestions how else we can improve. We're really trying to deliver as much value as we can right now, at any given point in time. So not in a distant future, but today and from today on, right? And yesterday, obviously, as well, but that's over. So losing myself here, but that's in essence, that's my view on this. I don't know whether you have a different one, Olga, but
I mean, I would definitely say that we are always open to feedback, as you said, and without the community of some of the ideas of you folks, this would not be possible. I mean, Wombat and OnePlay as they are now. Every single token suggestion we get, every single game request we get for OnePlay helps us to kind of correct or adjust the vector that we're moving in. And of course, regarding how the community could be involved, we always deeply encourage people to reach out to games developers and publishers if they want to see their games on OnePlay, which I think is kind of the most powerful input people could have in terms of the variety of the platform, what it offers, what kind of content we have in there. So it's like, you have the power, people.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't do community votings, right? Typically, but it would be so cool if 1,000 people would stand on their doorstep, virtually, of course, and ask them, "Hey, can't you get that game on OnePlay?" Can't you partner up with Wombat? And so we're trying to get everyone in, and I think through the inclusion of Ethereum that we. Obviously, we're not in a recap section, but we included Ethereum, as most of you know. So we were able to list a whole lot of partner dApps or of supported dApps within Wombat. So there's much more you can do now than you could a few weeks ago. So we also hope that you all enjoy all these Ethereum-based games, Ethereum DeFi. And all the other things that are out there on Ethereum. I mean, to me, it's mostly DeFi and games, but there's a few more things. Just try it out and tell us what you like and what you would like to see more of, because it also means like when we integrate the next blockchains, and there will be a lot more, right? It's always interesting for us to see what kind of content and what other blockchains you would want to see. So that we can adjust our roadmap accordingly.
Well put. I've just been trying to remember some of the things that community specifically also requested regarding Womplay. Different game genres, those were, that was a thing for sure. But I remember, I think our idea with PBTC was also inspired by people asking about different assets. If you remember, we had this PBTC payouts experiment during Easter. So that was also community input. All power to the people.
I do remember that.
Well, you for sure, but I was talking to the folks.
Okay.
But all right, that I think was a pretty extensive coverage of this question. And if the author is here with us today in the chat, please let us know if we were able to answer that. While we're at it, we're moving on. We're moving on to another rather deep and serious question. And here goes. People nowadays are cautious about using messenger services, especially those related to personal data security. How does Wombat ensure that user data is secure and is not subject to leaks to third parties? That's a serious one.
That's a serious one. Yeah, I'll try not to smile too much because it's serious. No, honestly, so for us, we don't capture any personal data, right? We don't want your data. We're not relying on your data in any sense. So whatever kind of there's very little data that we have, and that's only for technical reasons. That's basically just your login, right? That's all that we know. So there is not much personal data that we can even run around with and lose or whatever. That's the easiest way of not of not having these data breaches, right? We don't have payment data. We don't have personal data of yours. So that hopefully helps. But there's another aspect, and that's the one about private keys and stuff, right? Because that's also something in the crypto world. It's very easy to get to lose your money because somebody you may not know kind of what to do, and somebody may ask you to I don't know, paste your private key somewhere.
Oh yeah, right? That's a whole new level of security breaches.
And that's kind of a new thing, right? But you should treat your private keys at least as securely as you treat your passwords. And I'm saying at least. Ideally, you would treat them even more securely, right? So don't write them on a piece of paper and don't let them leave them open, right? They're called private keys for a reason, because they're supposed to be private, right? So also you shouldn't if not necessary, you shouldn't share that private key with anyone. And you should be very, very cautious with websites asking you for your private key whenever you want to sign a transaction. There are a few legit sites that do that essentially because they're being lazy, right? You don't want to build kind of a proper solution, but be really cautious about those. And in Wombat specifically, because in Womplay we don't have your private keys anyway, right? But with Wombat, we're trying to make it really hard to accidentally show your private key to somebody, right? And if you have suggestions of how we can make that even more difficult to accidentally display your private key or give it to somebody, then let us know. But that's something that's very important. I can't imagine any kind of data breach on our end, but there's definitely this problem of leaking private keys in case you get asked about them and stuff. So be very, very careful about this.
All right, folks. And just one thing to add to what Adrian said. If you see at any point someone who might appear as if they're from our team and asking for private keys, please do not share it with them.
We never, ever ask you for private keys. Never, ever.
We don't need them. We don't want them. Keep your private keys to yourselves.
But this is an important thing, because sometimes what happens is when people report issues when importing a key, right? Because it might be in a wrong format or whatever. Feel free to send us a screenshot, but do not include your private key in the screenshot, right?
Yes, please.
Somebody could just type it in their wallet, and then it's gone, right? I always delete these these screenshots immediately when I see those, and I politely ask the people not to store these screenshots. Don't make screenshots that contain your private key in clear text.
Yes, absolutely, folks. Please do not do that. But let's move on to a more kind of lighthearted topic. It's getting a little bit like a dragon's den here. We have a question from a crypto investor who wished to remain anonymous. So they say that they're a crypto investor and they only care about the prospect of a crypto that they choose. Same goes for wallets, apparently. So Adrian, tell everyone, why should they choose Wombat over other wallets? What sort of sets us apart?
I think the most important thing is we do call Wombat a wallet, but we want to be so much more than a wallet, right? Essentially, a wallet is just a functionality where you store your crypto, like obviously in the crypto sense. There's so many other things that are called a wallet. And I could go I could go ahead and talk about why wallet is a wrong term for a crypto wallet in general, but that's not the point here, right? What I'm trying to say is that the wallet functionality within Wombat, that's just a little part, right? There's so much more to what we're trying to offer to all of you than just a wallet. That is supposed to make it a better experience. And we have a new colleague who just started today, who has been like talking extensively about the experience that he wants to bring to Wombat. And so we don't have a real roadmap for that yet, but we're working on it. There's like Wombat is going to be your entrance, or the place where you can deal with all of your gaming related blockchain assets like NFTs and cryptocurrencies. So it's going to be so much more on top of just being a wallet, where you can share that with your friends and interact with your NFTs and trade NFTs, right? And all these things that are much more than just a wallet, right? Where you can look at the crypto and hope that it's gonna get more valuable. So as a pure crypto investor, where all that you want is kind of know whether your cryptocurrencies that you have are becoming more valuable, I would probably recommend you to choose a different product, like Blockfolio or so, which are like products that are specifically meant for kind of value tracking, right? Obviously, Blockfolio is not a wallet, but I know that. But these are products that are more tailored towards investors who are holding crypto and want to mostly manage their wealth, let's say. Wombat will always be about being active with your crypto assets, right? You can swap tokens. You can save them. There will be a savings functionality. We have this super simple token swap. we have the NFT view where you can interact with your NFTs right from the NFT gallery, right? So, and there's going to be so many more of these things that, it's not just talking about a wallet where you can store your crypto. It's not going to be sufficient to explain what Wombat actually is.
That is true. And I really love this kind of direction where Wombat is going. But yeah, this would definitely be not the first kind of app you'd have in mind as a hardcore crypto investor. As a hardcore crypto gamer, though. Maybe. Hopefully.
Exactly.
But okay, let's get down to the OnePlay stuff. We will obviously cover other questions that are more general and concern EOS and blockchain stuff overall, but those will come a little bit later. So, about OnePlay. How would OnePlay take games and forms of earnings to another level, taking into account the great growth of ETH, I'm assuming Ethereum-based games, and also professional gamers in the space?
Very good question. Because we launched Ethereum in a Wombat, and now it's a natural thing to ask in a way, what's going to happen with Ethereum within OnePlay as well, right? So it's a great one. And the big problem that we have with Ethereum, the big problem that we have with Ethereum in general is that, there's two problems, and one is always discussed about and the other isn't, right? The one that everybody discusses about is that it's super expensive to use Ethereum, right? And that's obvious. So if I want to send an NFT on the Ethereum network, that's probably going to be about $10, maybe $7, maybe $12, depends, right? So that's very expensive, and it's very exclusive because it means that these small mass-produced NFTs, of which there are a lot, like maybe more than 100, right? They don't work very well on Ethereum because you don't want to send and transact an NFT that's worth $10 for $10 in fees, right? So that's a problem. It's very hard to explain to somebody who's entirely new to blockchain how to use Ethereum, what the right gas settings are, both gas limit and gas price, and like when your transaction is going to be executed, right? So even if it was much cheaper, it would still be difficult to understand what these numbers mean. And last week there was a hard fork on the Ethereum blockchain, and this is supposed to stabilize the whole gas thing, which maybe it's more stable in terms of it doesn't fluctuate as much, but gas didn't get cheaper, which was something that was highly anticipated. So gas is still at least as expensive as it was before, but also it kind of made understanding the gas model even more difficult, because now if I submit a transaction with a gas price of 30, even though the next blocks aren't full, I still might not be executed, which is crazy. So it makes it even more difficult. So what I'm saying is that we would love to integrate more Ethereum-based things into OnePlay, but it's incredibly hard to do that because either it's very expensive, and we can't do that for most of our users because there are so many, right? And we can't send an NFT to everyone. Let's say to 50,000 people, and just spend $500,000 on just gas fees to do that, right? That's kind of crazy. And on the other hand, if we did that, it would still be fairly difficult for everyone to actually start transacting with that NFT, because you would all have to load up ETH first before being able to put it on the marketplace, let's say on OpenSea, right? So that's what kind of holds us back from integrating a lot of Ethereum-based assets and Ethereum-based functionality into OnePlay. That said, what we're trying to get you also on OnePlay is not just kind of any games, right? But specifically the blockchain games that you might be interested in, which are easy to access, right? So we're currently talking to pretty much all of the large Ethereum-based games, and hoping to get some of them listed on OnePlay in the near future, so that you will be able to earn additional rewards while playing Ethereum-based games, right? And we think that we have a very strong promise in blockchain-based games into OnePlay. And I think that many of you are actually enjoying them because they basically combine gaming and blockchain, right? And this is what we do in OnePlay for any type of game, but specifically the blockchain-based games. They're obviously they're also very interesting to us, right? So we also like testing them out and playing them and interacting with them. So that is something how we can actually leverage this specifically from a perspective that now if you get something or if you need a wallet, an Ethereum wallet to play CryptoKitties or SoRare or transact on OpenSea, then you can just do it right from within Wombat, right? And that makes it much more accessible to everyone. But there's literally nothing right now we can do about these user experience issues that Ethereum has.
Are you going to drop some names, Adrian? Maybe which Ethereum games?
Hell no. That's not what I typically do, right? I don't want to promise anything, and then because it doesn't only depend on us, right?
Fair.
I don't want to promise anything, and then we have to disappoint you. So we're on it, and it's looking very, very good, and we'll probably have something to disclose very, very soon. So unfortunately, you will have to wait until we're done, because sometimes these things take longer than anticipated, and it's sometimes not us who that depends on.
Okay, well, folks, I guess we're gonna have to wait until the next day, Nathan. I don't know, but hopefully sooner. With that in mind, speaking of crypto games, we have another question that kind of takes them in a different dimension. Well, them in OnePlay. This person is asking, with the rise of play-to-earn games like Axie Infinity, DeFi Pad, Crypto Blades, will OnePlay ever develop its own blockchain game, NFTs, and token?
Cool. Right. It's great because we get asked a lot about X Infinity and kind of what we have in common and so on. And it's very interesting because, if there are reports and articles about X Infinity and how there are people making a living on top of X Infinity because they can now play to earn, right? You can also do OnePlay, right? So it's in a sense that's very similar. I think that to me, OnePlay, and not because it's called OnePlay, but because this is how we want to add value. OnePlay itself is kind of a game, right? And it may not feel like a game in every aspect of it, but this is where we want to go, right? That we enrich the experience of playing games by having this kind of layer on top, right? And this shouldn't feel like work. It should be fun, right? And so I think that we made a very good first step with the Hero Zero and Tasty Tail NFTs. There's going to be more NFTs that are game specific. Yes, that is one thing that I can promise. There will be OnePlay related NFTs, right? And so we will offer more things that you can then do with these NFTs. And I think that's going to be OnePlay itself effectively will be the game. We're not going to do a separate game outside of OnePlay.
What about a token?
Yeah, possible.
Possible. Will it be $1?
I don't think so.
Ah. And here I was kind of semi-anticipating our whales, like Bandaddy. Shout out to that dude. He's in the chat right now.
Ooh, hello.
You know, exploding with happiness. I'm rich. I got all these $1. But okay, fair enough. Let's wait for some more details on that then. Okay, speaking of Bandaddy, here's one of the questions that he sent to. When is the release date of the Golden Treasure box?
Why has nobody ever asked that before?
Oddly enough, some people do, but they just don't submit this question for an AMA. So now they got you cornered, my man.
Okay. So here's the thing. We obviously wanted to release it much sooner, right? And it's now been hanging around there forever. It's just that we changed our plans with these boxes, and they will come for sure. It will probably be more than just these golden ones, and we just wanted to make them more exciting. So they may have something to do with NFTs. So they're going to be. It's going to take a little more while. So I can't tell a date, but it's definitely going to be this year. They will be related to NFTs. So I think that they will be more exciting than what we had originally anticipated, but it's also going to take a little bit longer. So thanks for asking. We'll get them to you as soon as possible. Promise.
All right. Then what about the next NFT game, like Tasty Tale Hero Zero? Can't drop names either yet?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. We're in, let's say, it's more than discussions. It's also more than negotiations. It's basically just putting on the final touches on the things. But we can't tell you a launch date yet. I believe it's going to be within the next month, for sure, that we're going to have the next NFT game. And I just can't tell you it's that because we're still in the process. So it's going to be one of 3 games. But again, I better not promise it's going to be that because it might not be that. It might not end up being that. So we better announce it once we know and once we have a date, and we'll let you know. And by the next AMA, it's going to be there.
All right. Well, let's switch on to some more general things. And there was one actually very good surprise question that just came in like minutes ago. And it would be interesting to hear your response to that as well. But let's first...
Surprises.
Right. Our community is full of surprises.
I'm getting nervous now.
Nah,
I don't like surprises.
It's a very creative question. But that's just a teaser. So let's do some educational work for the beginners out there. We received a question that I think pops in the mind of every person who just started working with EOSIO blockchains. So, I don't really understand the differences, says this person, between in the use and the whole working system of RAM, net, and CPU on EOS. What's with those? How would you explain those concepts in the best and the simplest way, really?
Okay. I'm probably the wrong person to explain them in the simplest way. Because yeah, I'm the kind of person who tries to give you a little bit more detail, right? So all three of them have one thing in common. In general, blockchains are open ecosystems and everybody can use them, at least public blockchains like EOS, right? So anybody can use them. But their bandwidth, their resources, they're finite. So you can only execute a certain amount of transactions per, let's say, per each time period, per, let's say, block or per minute or per day, right? So in order for somebody to use that, these people will have to somehow pay for the usage of this finite resource, because if they didn't have to pay in whatever way, people could spam the network, right? And you wouldn't be able to distinguish anybody who's just spamming the network and just producing weird, useless transactions from somebody who wants to actually achieve something that's valuable for them, right? So that's why there are fees associated to Bitcoin transactions. That's why there is gas on Ethereum, and that's why there are these three resources on the EOS network. I mean, we can probably neglect net a little bit because it's very similar to CPU, and there is no necessity to distinguish between those two effectively. RAM is totally different. So here's the thing. RAM it's also a bit misleading. So that's storage on the blockchain. If you want to store additional information on the EOS blockchain, then you have to reserve the space where you want to store this information. It's like it's basically like your disk or like any USB drive, right? You have to have the space before you can copy any files on there. So that's also why, for instance, if you want to put an NFT up for sale, you have to have RAM, because you're adding information to the blockchain, meaning this NFT is on sale now for that price, right? So you need a little bit of RAM to actually store information. Yeah, so that's that with RAM, right? The thing is, with RAM, you have to buy it. So you have to pay EOS in order to acquire RAM. This is not very straightforward. We're working on a better kind of funnel for that, a better solution, an easier, simpler solution for that. And we'll probably have a solution for that soon. So I think that's okay. Although it's very annoying because it can also get expensive if you want to do a lot. With CPU and net, this is an ongoing thing, right? So whenever you want to do a transaction, whatever transaction that is, whatever action that is on the blockchain, you have to kind of pay for the execution of that, because there's typically some type of code executed on the blockchain on this virtual machine that runs that powers the EOS blockchain, and it's also limited. And you have to allocate a little bit of that limited resource to yourself. And this is why you need this CPU or net resource. That's even more complex than RAM. But yeah, this is the distinction, basically. RAM is just the information that you write on the blockchain. And CPU and net are kind of actions that are executed on the blockchain. And that's what you need them for. However, we're really trying, we're doing our best to abstract from that as much as possible. So most of you should not experience any problems with specifically CPU and net on a kind of the daily basis. We have that free transaction model, right? So that if you don't sign many more than a few transactions per day, then this shouldn't bother you too much. But I'd be really, really curious, and I mean it, how many of you are experiencing issues with, specifically in this case, CPU and net in your daily lives. And I would really like to hear kind of a little vote so that we know what else we can do about it, because we're trying to cover most of these costs as long as they're not like super extensive and thereby expensive, right? So if there are specific apps and smart contracts that you want to sign transactions on, let us know, and we can always see whether we can add them to our whitelist program, to our unlimited transactions, unlimited CPU program, so that it's easier to use for you, because we don't want to be in your ways. We've always tried to give you as many kind of free transactions on as many dApps as possible. But yeah, I'm really curious what there is that you're having troubles with, and then we can check it out and see how to deal with it. With RAM, it's slightly more complex. Also there, we're trying to cover as much as we can, but it's kind of we have to be very cautious, because some things, there are people who will try to benefit from us helping others with RAM without actually having good intentions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we already have our two first candidates, actually, DeFi Box and Atomic Hub for unlimited CPU. Regarding DeFi Box, I think we can share the good news.
We added it yesterday.
So yeah, Javier, DeFi Box is on.
But with Atomic Hub, that should also work. I just heard that sometimes we're having problems because we're getting in each other's way. So Atomic Hub are actually taking over CPU cost as well, but they have some kind of a limit, and I don't know exactly what that is. So sometimes our resource model would get confused with that. We'll see whether we can do something about it. But with Atomic Hub specifically, it would be very important, because obviously that's something where you would want to sign like 10 transactions within a minute or so, right? If you want to burn or like put them up for sale or whatever. Yeah. So I can totally see how that's in a way. So what you can always do is just wait a little and then try again. This is typically going to work on Atomic Hub's side, but we'll also try to find a solution on our end of how we can actually better deal with it. It should actually work. It's configured to work, but for some reason it sometimes doesn't. So that's very unfortunate.
Indeed, but let's get to that creative question that made you a little bit nervous. I don't know. I just really liked it. We can get a little bit philosophical, maybe. There was one person who wanted to start a discussion on the meaning of EOS, right? So BTC stands for Bitcoin or whatever. And with EOS as an abbreviation, how would you decipher that? What would that stand for? I think one of the options they suggested was, oh God, I cannot find it now, but there was something about singularity even, so something rather deep.
I don't know. I think that for a while it was supposed to be deciphered as enterprise operating system or something like that, when this was supposed to become more of an enterprise platform, which I kind of never really was agreeing to. So now I would actually say it's probably more like everyone's operating system, right?
Well put.
Meaning that, I mean, to be honest, yes, if EOS is much harder to onboard, right? If you go to the classic route to onboard onto EOS, you have to create an account. For that, you have to have EOS first, and you have to send it to an account creation service, and then like pay for your account, and then you get your account, your private key, you paste that into your wallet, and then you're good to go, right? And then you have to stake resources and buy RAM and whatnot. It's crazy. It's really difficult. We've been trying to remove most of that from or most of that burden from Wombat users whenever they want to transact with EOS and start interacting with EOS, so that it's actually very easy to use, right? As soon as you are there, and as soon as you have everything, transactions are really fast, they're really cheap, right? You can make a lot of them. It's actually much more usable as soon as you are onboarded than Ethereum. Ethereum is exactly the other way around. Ethereum is very easy to onboard because essentially you just have to create a private key and you can immediately start interacting with it, theoretically. But then you have to know about gas and gas limits and gas price and all these things and how long transactions take to be confirmed and right. So all these things, and it's really hard to use. So I think that the EOS.io technology in general and EOS specifically actually have the potential to be much more accessible for as long as onboarding is solved, and I think we solved it quite nicely. We could actually, yeah. I think Dan would be happy to call it everyone's operating system.
He for sure would be happy to call it like that. In fact, I mean, this is probably like this summarizes the whole idea of EOS Eden, I think, as best as it could. Actually.
Yeah, I would guess. Shout out to Dan.
Yeah, shout out. Tell him that. Give him a trademark for free. But
I'll mention that next time I talk to him.
You do, because I think this is a very nice messaging to kind of behind it. But it looks like we're done with the questions that were sent in advance, and boy, oh boy, is the chat active today. Okay, let's start. Ramitz Chu is asking, what's the future possibility of building a blockchain? You already hinted at that, sort of, but how would you respond to this? Is this maybe? And if yes, would that be an EOS.io blockchain?
Yeah, it's a definite maybe. So right now, I don't think we are in need of another blockchain, right? Because what problem would you solve with a new blockchain? There's like this, let's call them fourth generation of blockchains with Solana and Avalanche and Algorand and whatnot, right? That are even better from a technological point of view. But it's not about technology, right? It's kind of never been about technology, because if it was about technology, nobody would be using Ethereum, sorry. That's not the point, right? The point is, how do you get enough? And that's kind of back to the network questions, to the first question that we had, right? How do you get enough kind of cool applications, cool things that people can use on this network? And how do you get enough people to hold the assets that are running on this blockchain and who want to interact with these apps, right? And this is the problem. And we're happy to help any blockchain and any application to get more exposure to all of our users, to all the people who are using Wombat and OnePlay, right? And but we're not right now. We're not in the business of building a blockchain ourselves. However, and that's why it's a maybe and it's not a no, right? However, if we ever find out that there's a particular thing that is not being solved by a particular blockchain, then we'll definitely do it, right? Because that's always been our philosophy, that we try to use as many things that are out there and not build them if we can avoid it. But if we can't avoid it, then we'll go on it and do it ourselves and do it effectively and efficiently, right? But right now, I really don't see the need for even more blockchains. There's so many blockchains, guys. If you want to try out all the dApps and all the blockchains, then you're going to go crazy, because also it's going to take you a lot of time to onboard and to find out kind of what the quirks of each individual blockchain are. But yeah, right now we have no short-term plans to do that. And if it was based on EOS.io or not, that we would actually answer as soon as we would start building or thinking about it, and whether or not EOS.io would be the best technology to do it, right? Actually, I mean, spinning up a blockchain is easy, right? You can use Ethereum, you can use EOS.io, you can use Hyperledger or whatever you want to just spin up a few nodes, and voila, you got a blockchain. But we won't do that without actually having a real purpose for it.
Well said. I mean, that's definitely a problem as well, I think, for crypto novices, because aside from some big names in the space that established blockchains, really, when people are looking to diversify their portfolio or just learn more, eventually they end up in this vast ocean of all kinds of networks that are very hard to distinguish in terms of kind of use cases sometimes. So I would want to add to that.
I actually like to compare that with the internet itself, right? Because blockchains are protocols running on the internet or running in the internet, or whatever you want to call that, right? And it's kind of similar to what to all the other standards that are out there on the internet, but actually people don't want to really care about it. At least I think so, right? Because I myself don't really want to care about it. I don't want to know whether I'm using HTTP or HTTPS or FTP. And until like 10 years back, you always had to type that in your browser, right? You always had to type HTTP : whatever URL you wanted to open. And everybody wondered why they have to type that. And everybody got used to it until browsers allowed to actually not enter this anymore.
You just skip it altogether.
It's still there. It's just the browser takes care of it, right? So nobody, like hardly anybody knew what actually this weird hypertext transfer protocol actually is, right? And so I think it's actually similar effectively with blockchains. And this would be the best thing that we could achieve if we didn't have to put the name of a blockchain anywhere within Wombat. Unfortunately, because the user experience differs so much between blockchains like EOS and Ethereum, right now we think that we have to do it so that it doesn't feel super bad. So we'll expose that even more to all of you. So especially when it comes to tokens and dApps, we'll be displaying that even more prominently because it might be confusing right now. But ideally, we wouldn't have to take care of that at all, right? And it would just say, okay, this is a dApp. It doesn't matter whether it's running on Ethereum or on EOS or on Algorand, right? It's just there. It works, and you can deal with it. You can interact with it, and that would be the best possible way.
Fair. But let's move on to some more specific things, concrete things. But I do think that this is a good topic for discussion. And if anybody wants to carry on, please do join our Discord server, and we can carry on this conversation in there. This would be very interesting to see what you folks think about it. But speaking, about specific stuff, Womplay, we're back on our favorite track, and Pandaddy is at it again with his amazing questions, like this one here. So now that it's changed from a time-based NFT reward in Hero Zero to milestone ones, the activity is dropped. Some people stopped playing effectively. Is there any chance we can revert this change, or do we plan to design anything to make the people more active in certain games?
This is a very interesting observation. I mean, on one hand, we don't want we don't want to incentivize too much that people just, for instance, keep their app open without actually playing, right? So this was a bit of a problem with the previous model, with the time-based model, because effectively some people could actually would farm NFTs like that, right? And that in turn would increase the number of NFTs that are out there. So prices wouldn't be very stable on the market and whatnot, right? So that's an interesting economical discussion that we can have about this. But that's a choice that we can make, right? Whether or not it's time-based or milestone-based. So if that's a common request, then we'll definitely consider this. But we may not add it back just as it was, but make it a little bit more advanced so that we prevent like this. I don't want to call it abusive behavior because it's exactly what is said, right? But maybe we can also make some kind of a combination of those two, so that we make it harder for people to just come in and just farm NFTs without actively playing the game. But it's a very good one. I like that.
Yeah, that would be actually very interesting to see something on Womplay that incentivizes people to, actively engage with the game more, because we already have a couple pretty high-ranking teams on Hero Zero, the Womp players and the NFT hunters. I think those are the names. If not, I'm really sorry, guys. Give me a kick on Discord if I did.
How do you not know that? Oh, God.
I don't know. How do you know?
No, unfortunately, I don't have the time to play as much Hero Zero.
Oh well.
I would like to. Don't get me started. I think that with Hero Zero in particular, it's actually funny because, truth be told, I found it pretty boring in the beginning, but it actually gets much more interesting over time, right? And this is unlike other games where you actually unlock many of the possibilities very quickly. In Hero Zero, it actually takes quite a bit of time, right? And I actually did realize that it gets much better and much more fun over time. So shame on me that I haven't played through level 100 yet.
Well, you'll get there someday when you have enough time. maybe Pandaddy can even take you into his team.
Oh, I'm not sure whether I'd be a reliable team member. I'm sorry.
But okay, there was another very interesting question that, well, you get a lot. But if you could kind of pinpoint some sort of a time frame to that, I think this person would really appreciate it. When wax?
I promised, I think it was in our last AMA, that this will be the next blockchain after Ethereum.
Yes.
We're done with Ethereum. It's going to be the next blockchain soon, right? We're just doing one more thing, and we have a little bit of a summer issue, right? Because a lot of people are on vacation. But anyway, definitely this year, but it's definitely going to be well before the end of the year. So let's say within the next 2 months, we're going to have wax.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Right now, you forced me into that. Now I feel bad about it, because if I don't keep it, then people will be angry at me.
Well, in all the fairness, I'm being a little bit selfish here, because it's better that they are angry at you than at me. So whatever.
Okay, that's good then.
But
I don't know. I don't know whether Kari is listening. Probably not. But Kari will definitely hold me down on that if he hears that.
I'll make sure to get a cat out of this moment on the AMA and send it to him.
Thanks for helping me, Olga. Thanks for helping me.
You're welcome. But there was another very interesting question about Womplay, and I don't really think that you can reveal anything yet. but let's draw some prospects in here, right? So, does Womplay, asks Willis Rogers III. Do we plan on partnering with bigger gaming companies like Sony or Microsoft's Xbox branch for NFT gaming?
Yes, we would love to. We're trying to partner with as many companies as possible when it comes to that topic. We're in some very, very good talks with some new partners. I mean, we're obviously always in talks with our existing partners. Some of them are very, very open to these things. Some are more reserved, right? But ideally, we would have NFTs for all the games, and even more, get more NFTs out from like more NFT projects in from companies that we don't have yet. It's it's also a little bit of a bandwidth issue on our end because we can't do all of them at once. We would actually there's so much interest for these things that we could actually do more if we could manage all of that, because it's a lot of work. That's one thing, but definitely we're on it, and it actually helps that the previous ones have been working so well, and that all of you are so happy about those NFTs, and that you're like dealing with them, you're trading them, you're interacting with them, and you actually seem to really like them, and that helps a lot, because obviously we get a lot of questions around, so what do people do with them? Why do they want them? And maybe you can explain much better why you want NFTs, right? So if you can send us some quotes about Womplay NFTs that we can use, obviously anonymized, but in front of these companies, then we'd be happy to share your opinions with them and use them to help convince them to actually do NFTs with us.
Exactly. I could totally imagine a completely, crazy NFT market for platinum PlayStation trophies. Huh? People are gonna go nuts over these things.
We've had, it's been a while, but we had an interesting conversation with some people from Sony back in the day, and we should probably pick that up very soon, right? Because NFTs will have to come to consoles as well eventually, for sure.
Indeed. I think we can give it a try with the upcoming Steam Deck, since it's not that much of a difference from a computer. But this would be definitely an exciting move for sure.
I'm not sure how open Valve and Steam are, but let's see.
Stranger things happened. But okay, thanks for all the questions, chat. I saw a couple of others that were more kind of support related. So if you still want them answered, please use our official support channels, and our team will be happy to help you with those. But we also owe people some future plans, some roadmaps, some recaps. Let's get right onto it. We already mentioned that we had Ethereum released on Wombat, and I don't know, do we have any plans on expanding the natively supported dApps and games in there, or tokens? Or maybe you would like to share something else you find more interesting about our plans?
So when it comes to Ethereum, that's obviously been a lot of work for us, and that's quite an achievement, because the Ethereum blockchain feels totally different than EOS.io, right? So we're super happy to get suggestions from all of you, kind of how to make things easier when it comes to Ethereum, right? This is not the final product that we have right now, so there's still a few improvements that are to be made. So Yeah, feel free to drop us suggestions. What else you would like to have when it comes to dApps? If we're supposed to list more dApps, there's obviously a few more that have come out in the meantime. So happy to include those. Obviously, happy to include more tokens on Ethereum. There's just we have such a list. So we're already dealing with that. So that obviously is always highly welcome. But also integrating Ethereum will make it much easier for us to integrate other blockchains that are Ethereum compatible, right? So I'm talking about Binance Smart Chain, I'm talking about Polygon, I'm talking about just a plethora of other blockchains that are technologically very similar to Ethereum, which we'll be able to include. So there will be more content on that end. We're also working on including all of the Ethereum Ethereum-based things into, as I said earlier, into the token swap. You can see it that it's in preview right now. That will come very soon. We're literally on the final touches. We'll also include that in the NFT gallery. We'll include Ethereum-based NFTs there. Obviously, also Wax once that's there for sure. So these are things. I mean, come on, you can't do Wax without NFTs.
I mean Ethereum, because we already had like a couple of questions from people if they can access their Ethereum NFTs in the gallery as well.
Yeah, totally. That we're already working on it. It's just again, I don't want to whine too much, right? But Ethereum-based NFTs look pretty differently from EOS-based NFTs. So we're obviously working on kind of displaying that in a nice way and covering the major cases and so on. So it's it will be there soon, but it takes a while. So that's all things related Ethereum, right? But outside of that, like on the Wombat end, there's still a lot of improvements that we need to make when it comes to the overall experience that people have, and also the first things that you see, right? We want to expose NFTs more. We also want to enable you to share them with your friends, and have easier ways of putting them on a marketplace or finding more things that are interesting to you. So that's a whole lot of kind of smaller individual features, but they add up to kind of a totally different thing. So that's mostly it for Wombat. On the OnePlay end, I spoke about it earlier. I mean, we obviously have these treasure boxes that we're working on. There's more NFTs. There's also more NFT experiences. So there you will be able to do more with your NFTs. There's overall more things that we want to enable you to do within OnePlay, right? And there's also a closer integration of OnePlay into Wombat planned, so that it gets easier to use OnePlay from within Wombat, and at the same time you might be able to sign transactions from on OnePlay from inside Wombat, right? So that will enable us to add more things to the NFTs specifically, which I'm very excited about actually. Yeah, there's a ton of things that we're planning, right? So I guess it's more important to look ahead than to look back. But I think that's the most interesting parts. So I'm really looking forward to get all the stuff out to you. And all of what I just said is basically part of the rest of this year. So it's gonna be a hell of a rest of the year.
Oh yes, absolutely. This, I know that this means more work for us, but I'm so excited.
I like that kind of work, right? That's amazing. That is fun, guys. So if there's things that actually help you do what you want to do, or have more fun, or make more crypto, then this is really exciting stuff. And we're also increasing or growing our team so that we can do even more of these things for you. And there's nothing more exciting than getting that feedback from you that things are awesome, and that you're happy, because that's exactly what powers us, and that's what we want, right?
Yes.
So what else shall I say? That's it. That's why I wake up in the morning, and that's why go to work. I don't go to work mostly. I work from home nowadays, obviously, but that's what gets me going.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes us sound a little bit like emotional vampires of sorts, I guess, but we really are powered by your feedback, guys. Every single thing you share with us regarding Wombat and Womplay, or just, whenever you drop by just to say hi and telling us that you secured a nice sale of NFTs, or that you've collected all that and how it looks so pretty. And yeah, those are really like the moments when our entire team goes like, yeah, this is worth it. No, we really do. We're a bunch of saps.
I have one request to make, though. I hope maybe anyone who owns one of these super rare edition 100 NFTs, like the mythics, is here and here's that. Put them on sale, please. So at least they're there, right? Because so far I haven't seen any of those Darkulas hit the market ever, and there's only 5 of them. I would really like to see them on the market. Because I think that there are people out there, not saying whether I'm included or not, but it's kind of obvious, who would love to have them, right? I want this Darkula, and maybe a bat, but I used to have one. I think I have one somewhere. Yeah, put them on the market, please. They should be available to everyone. If you're not using them, if you don't want them, if you're not like, maybe you also do want them, but if there's a price tag you can put up, then please do so. I really want to see it.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. Maybe they want them for themselves,
yeah,
for obvious reasons.
But what's special about Darkula? I mean, right? I mean, obviously it's cool.
Looks cool.
But yeah, but why is there a Sorrow out there on the market, but not a Darkula? And there's never been a Darkula on the market, at least as far as I know. Yes, I'm actually pretty sure that there was never a sale, because it suggests the price is 0. So, come on.
Well, that's vampires for you. They're sneaky.
Yeah, totally.
Well, on that weird note about vampires, we are wrapping up our AMA number 5. Thanks a lot to everyone who came by, who asked the questions, and if yours wasn't answered, we're gonna do a quick follow-up in the chat, so don't worry about that. But first of all, stay safe, stay playing, and be the amazing community of One players that you are.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Bye-bye.